A Chinese national has pleaded guilty to conspiring to steal trade secrets from a U.S. agricultural company. The Justice Department says the suspect was employed by Monsanto and was a subsidiary of the company from 2008 to 2017. He pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit economic espionage and is scheduled to be sentenced in April. He faces up to 15 years in prison. And a new review by the Washington Post shows China is expanding its internal internet data surveillance network. The country is now mining Western social media sites, including Facebook and Twitter, to flood its agency with police and intel on foreign targets. Documents show agencies purchased new sophisticated software to define, or rather refine, its efforts, building a new network to alert Beijing about anyone trying to undermine the country's interests. Kate Cadell is a national security reporter for the Washington Post, and she wrote the piece, and she's here with us now to talk more about it. Kate, thanks for joining us. I don't think it would come as a surprise to anyone if we said, the Chinese government has been surveilling the social media platforms in China, but not outside of China. China uses sort of a countrywide network of government data surveillance services called public opinion analysis software. Can you talk a little bit more about how that was developed and how the country maintains it, and also how do they store all that data?
Yeah, so basically public opinion analysis software is something that's been developed in China over several years. And China has a closed internet. So the idea is that this public opinion analysis software can be used by police, state media, propaganda departments, and other government agencies to track what's going on the internet 24 hours a day. Now, what's interesting is that in the last 2 years, according to our review, we've seen that on top of domestic social media, they're also adding in Twitter and Facebook, as well as occasionally YouTube and other types of foreign social media. And what this indicates is that China is obviously concerned about its image overseas. Police are concerned about critics abroad. And they're trying to get a more nuanced understanding of what's going on overseas so they can counter criticism, as well as, target the people that are criticizing them.
So my big question sort of is why, and you sort of touched on that a little bit with the tail end of your answer there. Is the Chinese government concerned about its image around the world? Are they concerned about, criticism that may pop up in other countries that could eventually spill over and have an impact or incite or inspire people living in China? Why are they doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we can probably assume that part of it is targeted at Chinese citizens living abroad. And of course, at the moment, according to the Pew Research Center, this is one of the lowest, China is facing some of the most criticism from overseas that it has on record in the past 2 years between Xinjiang and COVID and Hong Kong and Taiwan and other issues. So it's perhaps not that surprising that China is trying to turn this internal control system outwards and sort of take control of its image abroad. But where it perhaps becomes a little bit more sinister is where perhaps surveilling social media could allow them to target dissidents abroad. It could allow them to target people overseas who have families still in China. And what we've seen in the procurement documents, when they lay out specific people that they want to target, it's the kind of people that, could potentially be critical of China: politicians, journalists, think tank workers, academics, as well as specific language requirements, including Uyghur language and Tibetan language content. And of course, the Chinese government has been accused of rights abuses in China in regards to those minorities. So they're really targeting the kind of people that would be critical of China. And that's what makes it a little bit new and frightening, is that obviously that's quite easy to do in China, but turning it outwards to target social media overseas is new, and the technology itself is also quite advanced. They describe 24-hour-a-day systems that use AI and big data.
So that was going to be my next question. What does this software do? What sort of software is being ordered by the Chinese government? Is it flagging names or words or phrases, images? How does it work?
Well, it's highly modifiable, but basically it's technology that mines data off social media. But what's really interesting, what we see in these procurement documents, which lay out the technology, is that it's really highly customizable. So some of them have, prerequisites, like I mentioned, like the Uyghur or Tibetan language, but others have specifications allowing police to perhaps add individual accounts or add the individual names of certain netizens to target those people. And then some just have really open-ended ones, like, for example, the US election they want to target, or Brexit, or that kind of thing. So it's quite interesting. The services are really varied, and they're provided by lots of different companies. And the features on them are really modifiable. So, they're really flexible about who could be targeted from day to day.
So Western sites like Twitter and Facebook, they ban automated collection of data without any prior authorization. How are they responding to this?
Well, so Twitter responded to say that it does ban authorization. It also bans the use of its public data to link people, or categorize people based on their race or ethnic origin and that kind of thing, as well as their political tendency, which is something that comes up a lot in these documents about mapping people's political tendencies towards China. But beyond that, they haven't really said all that much.
All right, Kate Goodell, thank you very much. Really interesting story.
All right. Thanks very much, Emery. Have a good day.